Let's preview tonight's Spurs-Lakers game, and let's have some fun here. The Spurs needing a point guard. Which point guard would you want back? Dejounte Murray or Derrick White?
You are Locked On Spurs, your daily San Antonio Spurs podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hey, this is Hot Rod.
And I'm RC from the Cybertron Spurs.
And you're listening to Locked On Spurs with Jeff Garcia.
Welcome back to Locked On Spurs right here on the Locked On NBA Network. I'm your host, Jeff Garcia, Spurs writer for Ken's 5 San Antonio. Glad to have you back. Hope everybody's having a great work week. Another game tonight. Hopefully the Spurs will get that win to snap this historic losing streak. Crossing fingers, we're going to preview tonight's Spurs-Lakers game. We're going to have fun with our guests. We're going to ask if the Spurs can bring back one point guard of recent memory, that being Derrick White and Dejounte Murray. Who would you want to come back? And then ask a big question. The Spurs always being this young team, don't they already have veterans on the squad that need to step up? We're going to be talking about that and more right here on this episode of Locked On Spurs, which is brought to you by GameTime. Go to GameTime.co right now. Download the GameTime app, create an account, use code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off your first purchase. Your Spurs are back in action tonight, everydayers. Yeah, hopefully the 17-game losing skid will end, and get to talk about something different than L's in the last over a month. You realize that's all we've been talking about on Locked On Spurs for about over a month now, just losses. Please, Spurs, let's snap that losing streak tonight. But before the Spurs hit the court, let's preview tonight's Spurs-Lakers game. Spurs come in at 3-19. Lakers 14-9, coming off that in-season tournament championship win. And as mentioned, the Spurs are currently on a historic 17-game losing skid. Now, the Spurs are coming off a road loss to the Rockets, 93-82. How bad was it? It was a horrible, historic, but not in a good way night for the Spurs. 12.2% shooting from the three-line by your silver and black versus the Rockets. That is the fourth lowest percentage by a team with 40-plus attempts in NBA history. So offense has been struggling of late. Wemby watch, he finished with 15 points and 18 rebounds versus the Rockets. And then you had Devin Vassell with 14 points, Keldon Johnson with 12, Sohan with 7 points and 2 assists. Injury report, the Spurs will be without Charles Bassey. Y'all know he's out for the remainder of the season with a torn left ACL. And Sissoko, Rice, and Bediako, they're on assignment in the G League. Spurs uniform watch will be in their the Icon Edition jerseys tonight. So those are the black jerseys. So they'll be wearing those tonight. All right, what are we watching now? Let's look at the visitor side. So keep an eye on the scoreboard. The Lakers are 7-0 overall, road and home, when they're leading at halftime. So Spurs are going to have a mountain to climb if they're down on the scoreboard at the break. So keep an eye on that. Spurs have not been good in the second half. That could be a bad mix for the Spurs and possibly the 18th consecutive loss. Now the Lakers as well, they've recorded 5 straight games with more free throws versus their opponent. Again, they're getting to the line. The Spurs are going to have to try to slow that down. You can see Davis picking up fouls, LeBron picking up fouls, Reeves. Just the list goes on and on. So the Spurs got to stop the Lakers from going to the free throw line. Those are easy buckets the Spurs can stop. Now, over the last 3 games, the Lakers have been averaging about 115 points per game. Why do I bring that up? Because versus the Rockets, although it was a loss, they did hold the Rockets to under 100 points. So we'll see if that trend can continue tonight versus the Lakers, who's been scoring well over 100 points in recent games. Now, for your Spurs, keep an eye on the boards. The Spurs have been out-rebounded in the last 4 games. Offensive rebounds have been an issue for the Spurs. Second chance opportunities. I think they have like 20-plus offensive boards given up to Chicago at home, one of those losses. Again, they had about 15 against the Rockets. So, again, those offensive boards, just defensive boards, they got to clean the glass. It's a big reason why they've been losing of late. And as mentioned about that halftime score, so we said that the Lakers are undefeated at half, road and home. Your Spurs at home, they haven't won a game when they're down on the scoreboard 0-3. So that is going to be a critical thing to watch at halftime, who is up at the break. So those are some things to watch for in tonight's Spurs-Lakers game. Coming up next, we have Rudy Campos of Sweep the League. He and I are going to have some fun. We're going to go into the Marvel universe, the what if universe, and ask, what if the Spurs can bring back one point guard, Dejounte Murray versus Derrick White, to plug into this current roster? And then we're also going to ask the big question, well, if the Spurs need veterans, don't they already have veterans right now? So we're going to be talking about that right here on Locked On Spurs.
Hey, this is Chris Sabat, and you're listening to Locked On Spurs with Jeff Garcia.
Our partners at eBay Motors have teamed up with Locked On Fantasy host Josh Lloyd to bring you some of the best fantasy picks all season long each week. Whether you're prepping for a daily draft or scouting the waiver wire, every week we're going to provide you players that are guaranteed to fit on your roster. So let's see who Josh has picked out for us on this week's eBay's Guaranteed Fit Fantasy Picks of the Week. And with no Spurs being listed, why don't we just dive into, the old man, Al Horford. He has played one or more games this week, but with Kristaps Porzingis out, Horford will get a bump in his production. Josh Lloyd from Locked On Fantasy Basketball is going to help you win your fantasy championship, and eBay Motors knows a championship team is about each player being the perfect fit. It's the same with your vehicle. Look, do you have a dream ride, or do you own a dream ride? What's the best memory of the car that you've loved? Or perhaps you have the car that you love right now. Or perhaps you're just trying to find the part for your car. Well, go to eBay Motors right now. So if you have a time where you need to have that car being fixed up or keep it running, or you're looking for that cool upgrade, you really want it, well, go to eBay Motors. With over 122 million parts for your number one ride or die, you can make sure your ride stays running smoothly. Brake kits, LED lights, roof racks, bumpers, whatever your baby needs, eBay Motors has it. And with eBay's Guaranteed Fit, it's guaranteed to fit your ride the first time, every time, or your money back. Plus, at these prices, you're burning rubber, not cash. What more do you need? Go to eBay Motors right now. Keep your ride or die alive at ebaymotors.com. eBay's Guaranteed Fit only available to U.S. customers. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply.
This is Emily Swallow, and you are listening to Locked On Spurs with Jeff Garcia.
And we're back right here on Locked On Spurs with Rudy Campos, rocking the San Francisco Giants hat.
Yeah, I'm a Giants fan.
I did not know that about you. You're a Giants fan?
Yeah, my dad was a huge Willie Mays fan. I grew up watching the Giants. I'm a massive Kevin Mitchell, Matt Williams, Will Clark, that little trio. Yeah. So I've been following the Giants for forever.
Oh, wow. So you learn something new every day about Mr. Rudy Campos. You can find him on X at Sweep the League. And his show, Sweep the League, he'll talk about that and more. You know what, Rudy, I'm looking behind you and I see champs again. You know, that paper clip. Man, though that feels like a long, long time. But yet, here we are.
Foreshadow?
Foreshadow? Sure, okay, foreshadow, yeah. But how long until that happens? Yeah. But nevertheless, look, Rudy, we're going to have some fun here. Look, it's been down times for Spurs fans, the Spurs themselves. I mean, just looking for the Zach Collins. I talked to him recently. He told me that, yeah, they're frustrated, perhaps more than the fans themselves. The point is let's have some fun now. Mm-hmm. They're going to have a game. And you know how everybody this season is saying, oh, Spurs need a point guard. Spurs need a point, that veteran point guard. Well, technically the Spurs had two of them, and they let them go. That's Derrick White and Dejounte Murray. White got traded to Boston. Murray got traded to Atlanta. Nevertheless, if they were here, they actually would have fit in pretty well with Wembanyama. It really would have worked with either of them. But the game is to find out which one do you think would be better suited for this team. Both present strong cases, and we're going to play. Basically, we're going to dive into the Marvel universe. We're going to do the what if here. You know, what if Murray or White stayed with Wembanyama and crew? So, Rudy, you are the guest. You get first crack at this. What if the Spurs had to make a decision to trade or to bring back White or Murray to solve the point guard's position? Who would Rudy Campos bring back?
You know, the popular choice would probably be Dejounte Murray. I mean, you're talking about a guy who I believe has made an all-star team. I mean, even though he wasn't voted in or picked by the coaches, he still got onto the all-star squad. But scoring point guard, guy that was able to lead the San Antonio Spurs for a while there. But my pick individual, in my opinion, is Derrick White. I mean, you're talking point guard. Derrick White he was a facilitator. He was just trying to get everybody involved. He knew when to score, which was the most important thing, because when his teammates were not being able to score the ball, Devin Keldon or anybody, Derrick White was able to step up and do the scoring, lift the scoring load himself. We've seen him have some 20-plus point games. We just saw him play some really big minutes, especially in that playoff series with the Denver Nuggets when they had made the playoffs. He was really, really big in that series as well. Derrick White's my pick because not only that, you get both sides of the ball. You get defense, you get offense. Yeah. You get everything you want in a starting point guard when it comes to Derrick White. That's my choice. I'm hoping you're just on the same page with me, Jeff. Are you?
No, I'm not. Yeah, I'm going with Dejounte Murray. Look, again, both players make strong cases. They really do. It's close to win-win situation. It's close, but you look at both point guards. Had they stayed in San Antonio, or they could bring back. We're playing a game here. We'll bring back one. Yeah, I think both would have ran the pick and roll with Wemby almost perfectly. I mean, it would have been just great. Either one, sure. Defensively, I do give the nod to Derrick White, but then again, it's close because Dejounte Murray is good with the steals. Yeah, Derrick White was good with taking the charges. Getting blocks, both were really good defense. I mean, it is close. I mean, you could almost just flip a coin and sure, bring that one back. But I'm going to go with Dejounte Murray simply because one, he is an all-star. Two, I think he can get up the court more than maybe Derrick White can. I like that more free flow offense that he can play. And also like the fact, too, that he can generate those second chance opportunities, as I mentioned, with the steals. You're looking at what he did in San Antonio before he got traded here. I got the numbers here. Just give me a few seconds. 12 points per game in 5 seasons in San Antonio. And you're looking right now in Atlanta in 2 seasons, he upped it to 20.4. Now, I look at that. I say, okay, he might even score more with Wemby at his side. Though the spacing that Wemby is creating. Now, granted, probably not right now because, Spurs can't shoot the ball and throw it into the ocean right now. But the point is, I just like Murray. I like Murray. He's younger, I believe. He's younger than White. So he can have a little bit more legs on him, a little more longevity. I look at perhaps the assists now. You look at for his career now, Dejounte Murray, 5.1 assists for his career and 1.5 steals. You're looking at his shooting. I think that'll be key for both. Maybe that might be the deciding factor. 3-point shooting for Dejounte Murray is at 34%, and overall field goal percentage is 45%. What do the numbers tell you about Derrick White, though, that you like?
So what I like about White is couple things here. First off, we see everybody screaming about Trey Jones being a starting point guard for the Spurs because he's really the only point guard we have on the team besides Devontae Graham. But when you get a guy like Derrick White, it's a very similar style when it comes to Derrick White and Trey Jones. So you're not going from one massive player like Dejounte Murray, who's, fast-paced, up-tempo, score, get the ball here, get the ball there. You're kind of getting that controlled balance from Derrick White down to Trey Jones. That's why I feel that flow would be really good for the San Antonio Spurs. But as far as Derrick goes, you're right on the defensive side. It's kind of a flip of a coin on the defensive side when it comes to Derrick White and Dejounte Murray. When I look at Dejounte, and I'm not mad about your pick. I like your pick with Dejounte, but it goes back to the style of play the Spurs want to they want to play. If they want the quick pace, it's obviously Dejounte Murray no matter what. If it's the play to where you get Devin, you get Keldon, you get Wemby involved, a lot of pick and rolls, it's guys like Derrick White and Trey Jones that are going to be the guys you want to facilitate for the San Antonio Spurs. But numbers wise, I mean, Derrick is having, let's put it this way, when it comes to playoff basketball and winning basketball, Derrick White has been the better player when it comes to playoff series. I mean, Atlanta, I think, has been in the playoff already a couple times with Dejounte. So I like Derrick because he brings that winning attitude, that playoff experience more than what Dejounte would. And on a team with, I've said many times, no identity, that is very important to get a veteran like that to help your team get to the next level.
Yeah, now, if you're looking at win shares, Derrick White does have the edge over Dejounte Murray for the career. Dejounte Murray's win shares are about 22.4, And I believe Derrick White, I got it here, win shares of 25. Now, championship experience, Derrick White has that. I think he went to the NBA Finals with Boston, I believe. Yeah, he went to the finals with Boston. But if you go down to other intangibles, if you go look at just a dog on the court, maybe Murray has that little edge over Derrick White. Murray is not one to back down. He has a little bit more dog in him. Sometimes I look at the Spurs team, I think maybe are they a little too soft? I think Dejounte could bring that type of aspect to this club. Now, I get it. A lot of Spurs fans, some of them are maybe a little sour on Dejounte after he left and had some comments about the Spurs. But I like the fact that he has a chip in his shoulder like that. I think that would carry well with this young Spurs team. And again, it's almost like it's a narrow race. It really is. If they're let's put it this way, Rudy, if I were to tell you, hey, Rudy, I just shot you a text right now. Check it out. And my text said, hey, the Spurs are trading back Derrick White. You'd be like, great. If I were to tell you they're trading back for Dejounte, you'd be perfect. I think is it almost like that for you? Do you think that's how the fans would react as well?
Yeah, it would be the same reaction. You'd be getting a familiar face back to San Antonio. I mean, someone that knows the system already under Pop. Either one of those guys would be fantastic. I would be ecstatic, and I think every Spurs fan would be ecstatic too, because you're getting the missing piece. You don't have to see Point Sohan anymore. You don't have to worry about positionless basketball that's being thrown around. Anything like that. You get the position, filled that you need to fill, and that is that point guard position. So if either player were to come back, you would see, I'm not going to say you would see instant success, but you would see a more balanced Spurs team, and you'd probably see some improvement when it comes to guys like Wembanyama, who's having a great year. Let's not deny, he's having a great year. But then you'll be able to see that flow a little bit better when it comes to other guys, when it comes to Keldon, Devin, Jeremy as well. So definitely I would be ecstatic.
Now, look at some of the hardware the players have collected. Dejounte has the edge over White. Dejounte is a one-time All-Star. He's a 21-22 steals champion, and he's a 27-18 all-defensive team. And you look at the other side with White, he's a 22-23 all-defensive team, but he also has been to the finals. So he has that championship experience. Didn't win it, but nevertheless, he's been there, he's seen it, he's done that. I think this is close. This is close. I think it's win-win, man. Sure.
Yeah, you can't go wrong.
Yeah. Now, I think you would have to boil down to like those little other intangibles, in age. Derrick is 29. Dejounte is 27. Okay, maybe it's a little bit more, longevity. I know injuries play a part no matter what age, but if you're going to go strictly with age, then Murray has the edge. Win shares, we mentioned right now, Derrick has the edge. Hardware, Dejounte has the edge. I mean, it's back and forth like that. You look at like a 3-point field goal percentage right now. We can talk about that because the Spurs couldn't make one versus Houston. For his career, Derrick White is shooting 36% from the 3 line, and Dejounte for his career is like how close it is, 34%. Yeah. So
can you trade both of them back?
Yeah, and then it'll be back to that whole point guard discussion. Remember when they both were in the Spurs and like who's starting? Oh, it's Derrick White. You see that and whatnot. Yeah, and then you look at those other things, other factors like who has more dog in them. Perhaps Dejounte has it. Again, not to say that Derrick is not a competitor, but Dejounte was a little bit more feisty on the court, and I like that. Yeah, not to say Derrick would be a chump and back down. Yeah, it really is close, man. Okay, so I start looking, what about free throws? Those little things that can make the difference in a win and a loss. Looking at his career, Dejounte is at 79%. And then you're looking at Derrick White, I get it here in a few seconds, is 85%. So do you, when the game's on the line or you go at those easy points, who do you want taking that free throw? So, it's win-win, everybody. Make it happen, Rudy. We know you have the Infinity Gauntlet. Can you snap your finger and make the time? Can you do that stuff for us, man? It is close.
Once I unpack my stuff, I'll be able to pull out that Infinity Gauntlet and make some changes for the Spurs.
Rudy's going to go with Derrick White. I'm going to go with Dejounte Murray. We can make a wish come true and bring back one of those point guards. But who do you want to come back? Would you like to see Derrick White return or Dejounte return? Put aside what Dejounte said for a moment. Just looking at numbers and what he can do on the court. Let us know what you think. You can let Rudy know on X at Sweep the League. Let me know on X at Jeff G Spurs Zone. When we get back, we're going to ask a question. Wait a minute, hold on. Don't the Spurs have vets already? I thought that was a whole issue with the Spurs team. We're going to discuss that coming up next right here on Locked On Spurs. But before we continue our discussion, I want you to go to GameTime.co right now, everybody. Look, you don't have to be worrying about where you're going to get your tickets, how you're going to get your tickets, or if you're going to have a hassle, because that's why GameTime is here for you. Go to GameTime when you don't want to worry about buying your tickets to the next big event you're going to, whether it be a comedy show, a music show, a theater, or a Spurs game, doesn't matter. GameTime takes the hassle out of finding tickets. They have killer last-minute deals, view from your seats, all-in prices, best price guaranteed. Look, GameTime, they just take the guesswork out of finding and buying tickets. They have the lowest price guaranteed, as mentioned, event cancellation protection, job loss protection, views from your seat. I mean, what more do you want out of an app? That's why you have to go get it right now. Look, you can buy tickets in seconds with just 2 taps, and they show all the total price up front. So, you're getting a good deal without those hidden fees. And that zone deal I was talking about, basically, you pick the section, GameTime will pick your seats, and that averages about 18% savings. Look, they're looking out for you. They are. Go to GameTime.co, download the GameTime app right now. Get that GameTime guarantee. You'll always get the best price. You can find tickets in the same section or row for less. GameTime will credit you 110% of the difference if you do find that. So take the guesswork out of buying tickets with GameTime. Download the GameTime app right now, everybody. Create an account. Use code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account. Redeem code LOCKEDONNBA, LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off. Download GameTime today. Last-minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. I also want to talk to you about Mudslingers drive-through coffee, everybody. Look, you got to go to Mudslingers right now. What are you waiting for? 281 to 1604. They have the best menu available. If you're looking for a quick pick-me-up, you can try one of the Red Bull infused Lightning Bolt series, or you can try the Alien. That's in honor of Wembayama. That's a full can of Red Bull plus green apple plus kiwi. It's a delicious drink. You got to get it. They have dairy alternatives. They have their signature drink, which is called the Mudslinger. They even have the OG OJ, which is the old school Orange Julius, brought back only at Mudslingers drive-through coffee. They are at 281 and 1604 area, 2404 Thousand Oaks Drive, open every day from 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. They have a friendly staff. They are a proud local sponsor of Locked On Spurs, and they proudly serve the San Antonio community. I go there as often as I can. You should go there as well. Look, they're even active on social media. Fans have told them and suggested them some drinks, and they'll make it for them, and they'll name it after you. I'm not kidding. Just go to their social media accounts on X, Threads, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, whatever you go and find them. Trust me, they'll be there at Mudslinger SATX. Over 300 5-star reviews, cannot be wrong. 2404 Thousand Oaks Drive, 281 to 1604 area, open every day from 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. Life is too short for a bland coffee.
Hey everybody, this is Nathan Ray Clark from Criminal Minds and Modern Family, and you are listening to Locked On Spurs, hosted by Victor Wembanyama's new best friend, Jeff Garcia.
And we're back right here on Locked On Spurs with Rudy Campos of Sweep the League. I'm thinking about, would you pick Derrick White? And man, like I started looking at more numbers, and like you start looking at anyway, I don't want to get off on that time. I just want to continue a little chat about that.
Yeah.
I think my personal feeling, I think Spurs fans might lean towards Derrick. What do you think?
Yeah, I think only because he's more controlled, and I think that's what this team needs. They're so unbalanced and so kind of, all over the place. They need someone that's going to be able to control the team and control the flow, and I think that's why Derrick is the choice. But
we saw. Okay, we don't want to get off of this tangent here. I just wanted to continue this chat a little bit.
So I guess,
but Dejounte did the same thing. Remember, he pulled LaMarcus Aldridge. Pushed away Pop. He and Pop got into it. Heated clashes. Sidelines. Yeah, it is so close, Rudy.
So the best question to ask Spurs fans out there that listen to Locked On Spurs is this: when it comes to Dejounte and Derrick, who's going to be more beneficial to the growth of your younger guy?
There you go. Yeah.
And Dejounte, take nothing away, but I feel Dejounte has more of the spotlight on him as to where Derrick will have the spotlight on him, but it kind of shines more out towards the team.
Yeah.
Dejounte has always been that first option for the Spurs when he was in his prime with San Antonio. All right. And that's where I think the shine is more for Derrick than that, in my opinion.
We're talking about bringing back a veteran guard. We're just using, recent history with 2 vet PGs. But, one of the biggest gripes this season has been this roster is too young. This roster is just a baby. And yes, you average out their age, and they are 22 and a half, which is the youngest squad in Popovich's era. But if you dig deeper, they actually do have veterans. And at least one player with championship experience, Cedi Osman.
Yeah.
They have Osman, Rudy. They have Collins. They have Doug McDermott. And yes, they have Keldon Johnson. He is a veteran by NBA standards. Who am I missing here? So McDermott, we mentioned him. Zach Collins, Devontae Graham. By the way, do they know he's instant offense? But I guess that's for another show. Yeah. But my point is why don't the Spurs look to their own backyard, their own roster, and look at those veterans and say, like, hey, we need you to help these young guys. Shouldn't they be pulling more of their weight? Could they hold some of the blame as to some of the struggles this season?
You texted me this question, this topic to talk about, and I started really thinking about it. Well, yeah, you could put the blame on veterans. You do have some veterans, but they're not your typical veterans where Spurs teams have relied on in the past. I mean, these guys majority are not playoff tested. Majority of them are not, 25-minute a night guys or anything like that. When you talk about veterans who made difference for the San Antonio Spurs, go back into like Steve Smith. He was a starter for so many years, great scorer in the league. Michael Finley, playoff tested with the Phoenix Suns. I mean, just go on and on. Yeah, Jerome Kersey, Patty Mills. A lot of these guys were veterans that the Spurs brought in where Pop knew I'm going to get something from them regardless if they play 5 minutes or they play 25 minutes. I'm going to get something out of them. They're going to be able to help me. And they helped the development of a Tim Duncan when he came in, with Jerome Kersey, Mario Elie. Tony Parker had Antonio Daniels, a little bit of Avery Johnson there, in the back of their Spurs, but he also had Speedy Claxton to help him out during that title run. Manu Ginobili. These guys were young coming in. Manu had the overseas international experience, but yet he was still an NBA rookie at one point. Those are the veterans that the Spurs need. You're talking about Cedi Osman. And I remember a long time ago, you and I talked, I said, Osman is going to be that one guy that's going to be probably the best person off their bench. Right. We're seeing it with Osman. He's battle tested, finals tested. I mean, he's got everything that the Spurs need when it comes to a veteran. But the biggest thing is none of these veterans are not leaders. And that's the bad part. You're relying on guys with no leadership experience, and nothing against Keldon, nothing against Devin, but it's hard to be a leader if you were never a leader to begin with. It's so hard to come into the league and be that leader and be a young age and try to be a leader at that. So that's where I feel veterans are very important. They just don't have the right veterans on this squad. And
they could have had at least one right veteran. Maybe I think a Reggie Bullock would have been good for this team.
Oh, perfect.
Yeah, I think he would have been solid, but he didn't want it out, or they bought him out.
Payton, was another one. They traded for him, and I know he didn't want to be here. Yeah, but he gave us the Mo Cheeks treatment. But at the same time, he would have been a very, very valuable asset for the Spurs.
Yeah, and of all the veterans that the Spurs do have, and yes, the Spurs do have veterans. Everybody, I look at as far as just bucking up and saying, hey, I'm going to help guide this team. And I know everybody's still looking at Devin Vassell, but I would love to see Keldon and McDermott really take the reins in that department. Be that locker room guy. Look, Keldon, last year during the tank season, Keldon was really good at keeping spirits up. I was in that locker room. I saw it myself. Very vocal, very happy, trying to get the team going, keeping spirits high. But I know McDermott has never been that guy, but I could see, I would have loved to have seen him take more control of the locker room. Maybe don't be vocal, or maybe just go his own way. Pull, Devin aside, pull Sohan aside and say, like, hey, it is what it is. You'll get better. And who knows? Maybe he does that. I don't see it. But we're not in the locker room 24 hours, every time they're in there. But, you ask players right now who's kind of the leaders right now, it's usually Vassell. And you rarely will hear, oh, it's Osman. Oh, it's McDermott. maybe Collins. I don't know. But, yeah, I think some of the veterans collectively perhaps – I mean, it's not too late in the season to kind of rally the troops. The edge of the cliff is right there. It's close. It's almost done. And I know a lot of Spurs fans think the season's already kaput. But, yeah, I think those veterans I would love to see step up a little bit more as the season goes on. But you're right, though. I mean, Osman, he was a role player during Cleveland title run.
Yeah.
McDermott, Indiana and Chicago. And I forget what other teams he played for, but, never were on powerhouse teams. Who else? Zach Collins, Portland, but he was derailed by injuries.
Yeah, he was injured. So you really can't consider him, you can consider him a leader, but battle tested, it's tough. And before you go on, I said Elfrid Payton earlier. I meant Cameron Payne.
Yeah, I meant Cam Payton. But do you think of all the veterans we mentioned right now, perhaps the one should be in the hot seat is Keldon?
Ooh, that's a tough one.
Yeah,
I think only because he's been here the longest out of all
the longest tenured. Yeah,
but again, Keldon, when he was at Kentucky, he was not a leader there. He was just Keldon is loud, so everybody expects him to be that veteran and that leader to come into the locker room and just start screaming and getting that. He's not that guy. He's loud on the court. He's a very emotional guy on the court. So it doesn't mean that he can be a leader. Same with Devin. Devin, a lot of these guys are going to talk to you, Jeff, when press conferences. They're going to say the right things. They're going to say what people want to hear.
Yeah.
But in the locker room, you don't know who the guys that are stepping up in. And to be honest, I don't know if there's a guy outside of maybe Trey Jones that can actually be vocal. And again, he plays that point guard position where your leader needs to be probably that point guard. I mean, it's kind of, it's kind of simple to think about. It's just the leader on the court needs to be the leader in the locker room. Dejounte was a very vocal person, when he was here. So it's like, it's hard to say who's a vocal without being in the locker room.
Yeah, exactly. But, technically by definition, the Spurs do have veterans. It's just, you would love to see them perhaps be a little bit more veteran-y in a season that's, taking a turn for the worse. I asked Spurs fans, do they still have faith? And it feels like Spurs fans are clinging faith by a thread right now. Like it's dwindling fast. So, it's been a rough season, and it's just, are we technically a quarter done of the season?
Yeah,
we're technically done.
We're at 20 games as of this recording. So I mean,
yeah, it gets any worse. I mean, can you see this losing streak be longer? They got the Lakers tonight, Lakers again, then the Pelicans.
The only two games that I saw them winning was Chicago and Houston. And even I remember saying Houston's probably tough to even say they're going to win. But I think it's 20 plus.
Today versus the Lakers, the first Lakers game is my wild card Spurs win. That win where you look at this at the end of the night and you'd be like, wait, the Lakers lost to who? I think, the Spurs, how did that happen? I have them, the Spurs breaking their streak tonight. So wishful thinking, I know probably, but who knows? But hey, we're done talking. We want to hear from you. If you could snap your finger, if you had the Infinity Gauntlet and bring back one of the point guards, Dejounte or Derrick, who would it be? Derrick White was Rudy Campos' pick. I went with Dejounte Murray. Is it close as we're talking about? Well, let us know. And also, what about the Spurs vets? How much blame do they have for not rallying the troops at this point of this bad start to the season? Rudy, tell us what's going on with Sweep, buddy.
Yeah, so Sweep the League, like I said, we're going to be kicking off a lot in 2024. We're at the end of December, so we're kind of gearing up for 2024, getting things ready. And I was able to pull up a couple of my old phone numbers, so I'm going to give Bano Udrich and Bobby Jackson from Sacramento a call, see if they're doing anything to get some nice veteran leadership.
There you go.
I talked to Goran Dragic, and he said he's not interested. So we'll see if we can get another couple of point guard veterans.
Darn. I even would take Speedy Claxton.
He's coaching Hofstra, so we could put a call into him. I can talk to Kenny Anderson if you want.
Okay, well, you do that. You make that happen, and then give everybody a reason why. You go to Sweep the League again. Follow him on X at Sweep the League, And we always appreciate Rudy taking time to jump on Locked On Spurs. Hey, I want to talk to you quickly. Locked On has launched the first ever national 24/7 streaming channel on YouTube. Locked On Sports Today is here for you 24/7, covering the top stories of the day with local experts of Locked On, plus our national shows covering every league. Go to Locked On Sports Today on YouTube and subscribe to the first ever national sports 24/7 streaming channel. And subscribe to Locked On Spurs wherever you get your favorite podcast. You guys are the everydayers. We'll be back tomorrow talking more silver and black, hopefully about wins. Maybe, I don't know, probably not. But we'll see what the future brings us. I'd love to hear what you think about today's topic. So for Rudy Campos, I am Jeff Garcia. We're going to put a lock on this episode of Locked On Spurs.